ready to roll. We'll call this meeting to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Recording in progress.
This is the Board of Review that we're meeting?
Sure, you want to do that first?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do Board of Review first. We have a Board of Review meeting we have to do before the Village Board meeting because of... So for Board of Review, the members are Tim Hallquist and Walschlager, Sandy Palicello, and myself, Jeff Vanderstill. What this is the Board of Review has to meet because we go over the role of all the taxed property that's in the village. So people have been able to do open book where they can look at it and contact the assessor. That time is going on right now if you don't agree with your assessment. And then we will end up having a meeting. The assessment is not complete at this time, so we're going to adjourn until June 12th. But we'll need an actual motion for that from the Board of Review. Anybody that does want to do open book, feel free to call the village. They'll get you in contact with the assessor or call the assessor directly. And you can, do that to discuss your assessment with the assessor. But the Board of Review meeting, we're going to postpone until June 12th, or we're going to adjourn this meeting, and the next meeting will be June 12th. So I would make a motion that we postpone the Board of Review meeting until June 12th due to the fact that the assessment is not complete.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to postpone the Board of Review meeting to June 12th, 2025. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion carries. If someone would like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the Board of Review meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That meeting is adjourned, and it will take place on the 12th of June. Anybody that wants to contact the assessor, contact them, talk about your assessment. Now, we have a Village Board meeting, which I will call to order at this time. May I have a roll call, please?
Trustee DeBoer? Here. Trustee Truchell?
Here.
Trustee Pfeiffer?
Here.
Trustee Walschlager? Here. Trustee Connor?
Here.
Trustee Hallquist?
Here.
President Vanderstill?
Here. If you'd all please rise, the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Trustee DeBoer.
Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, we have someone that is here to present a sponsorship check for the Thursday night concert series in Nixon Park. This is Bank 5-9. As you recall, at the last meeting, I acknowledged that I misspoke in a meeting prior to this, saying the citizens were paying for it, but Bank 5-9 was kind enough to put forth a large chunk of money so that the Thursday night concert series could go on. If you'd like to present that check, who are they presenting to?
Sam.
Sorry, guys. Come on up here, Sam.
Get a picture.
So we want to present this to you. Thank you so much for joining the village, and we're looking very forward to seeing what you do with it. Hold on.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can say Bank 5-9, which is, if I'm not mistaken, the oldest bank in the state of Wisconsin, second oldest bank in the state of Wisconsin. Whether you're doing personal banking, whether you're doing business banking, or whether you're even running for a political campaign and need to bank with Bank 5-9, they do a great job, not only in service, but in providing an outstanding product. And we are not only lucky to have them here in Hartland, but to have them bring such a large donation for something that brings the community together so much. Thank you very much on behalf of the entire Village Board.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have public comment. Anybody that would like to speak in public comment, please feel free to step towards the podium.
There are people on Zoom.
There are? All right, how are we going to find out if you want to speak? There's people on Zoom that might want to speak, so we're going to see if we can. One of these days, we might think of getting rid of the Zoom thing, but people tend to like being able to log
Doesn't look like it. Nope.
in. All right, anybody from the room that wants to speak in public comment? All right. Well, in that case, we're going to move to our first item of the agenda, which is the approval of the minutes. We have two meetings we're going to approve, the April 8th and the April 28th meeting. They can be taken separately in case there was any members missing, or they can be taken together, but sometimes it's easier if anybody was missing at those meetings.
I'll make a motion then to approve the April 8th, 2025 minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the April 8th, 2025 meeting. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have the 28th.
Make a motion that we approve the April 28th minutes.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the April 28th, 2025 meeting. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
No one opposed? Anybody oppose that? Okay. And we have one abstention. That motion passes. Now we have items related to the vouchers. We have consideration of vouchers for payments in the amount of $584,123.69.
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers in the amount of $584,123.69.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to pay the vouchers. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have review and consideration of items related to licenses and permits. We have a special event application by Hartland Public Library for summer reading program kickoff on June 6th, 2025.
It's pretty similar to what we've done the last 2 years. We're gonna have inflatables, characters. We are getting a food truck. They should have the permit into Sandy momentarily if they haven't already. I don't think we've heard from them in about a week from the barbecue place. I partnered with Beer Snobs to make sure they were okay with that. They gave me their blessing. And we also will be featuring free ice cream from Tanya Little, who I think is here. Maybe not. She was at the library earlier. But like I said, similar thing that we did the last 2 years. And I almost forgot, we're going to have a fire truck, a police car, and Tom Jensen personally is going to have a bulldozer there or something like that. Same thing, you know, a construction vehicle. Yeah. Any questions or concerns?
This keeps getting bigger and bigger every year, right?
Yeah, 2 years ago, there were, I think it was like 500 people attended. Last year, we expected another 500, and it ended up being 1,034. So it was much bigger. We try to do it I think it's the last Friday before school gets out, and there are a few schools that do get out on that day. So I think that also helps draw a bigger crowd.
I think it's a great event, so I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the Hartland Public Library Summer Reading Program kickoff on June 6, 2025.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have a special event application for Wisconsin Athletic Club for Baby Goat Yoga on June 22nd, 2025.
This is my favorite.
Aye.
I love this one.
Yoga.
Baby goat yoga.
Do you want me to turn this around? Yeah. Okay. Hi, I'm Katie. I'm the group fitness manager at the Wisconsin Athletic Club. I am requesting to have a special event, Baby Goat Yoga, at Nixon Park. We've done this the last couple summers, and it's been a really big hit. It would be on Sunday, June 22nd, about 10 a.m. Then we would do yoga for about 45 minutes, and then just some playtime with the baby goats. We would get there probably around 9 just to start setting up, and then a little bit of cleanup time. We've got a farm. I would be there, and then my instructor would be there for workers, and then about 35-ish participants for the event.
Just to ask, I mean, I know that you guys have done this before, and it's cool. I'm all
Yeah.
for it, but literally you just do yoga and then the goats will come and like jump on you, correct?
Yeah, yeah, yep. There's like a little fenced-in area, and then yeah, you just kind of, I mean, you can like pick them up and just like place them on people, and so yeah, they're just doing yoga. I mean, it pretty much just turns into taking pictures and photo opportunities with little baby goats, which we love. But yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve the special event application for the Wisconsin Athletic Club for baby goat yoga on June 22nd.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve baby goat yoga on the 22nd. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good, thanks everybody. You can register.
When can you register? Where do you register?
On the WAC Plus app.
Okay.
So if you just go to the App Store, WAC Plus app, it's open to members and non-members. So
Okay.
hopefully you all can join me.
Perfect.
You can at least get a picture of Jeff with the goat that we can,
And you guys can
Good,
find
good.
it everywhere.
okay.
That'd be perfect. We'll just hang it up in here. That'll be good.
Learn a little yoga.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have now special event application by Hartland Lake Country Rotary for annual Splash Pad Lunch on July 18th, 2025 with request to waive fees. Do we have anybody from the Rotary here to present?
Hi, can you hear me? Jeremy calling in on Zoom.
We can hear you. You have the floor, sir.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Paff. I'm the Community Service Chairman for the Lake Country Rotary, former president. Just helping out with having our annual splash pad lunch for the kids in the Hartland area. So we make them hot dogs, chips, and cookies, and give them some juice and just have fun at the splash pad on that Friday.
They also have raffle prizes as well that they give out.
Yeah,
to
we
the
give
kids.
away just like little things from the dollar store and stuff like that. We give kids tickets and just have them win.
And when you have this event, it's my understanding, but I want to clarify, everything is basically, this is the Rotary giving back, so there's no, you're not selling anything.
Yeah, we're not selling anything. Everything's 100% donated and free.
I make a motion to approve the park food vendor application for Hartland Lake Country Rotary to serve free lunch at their event on July 18th with the waived fees.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the special event application for Hartland Lake Country Rotary for the annual Splash Pad Lunch on July 18th, 2025, with the request to waive fees. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have a park food vendor application for Hartland Lake Country Rotary to serve free lunch at their event on July 18th, 2025, with request to waive fees. I feel like that somewhat is taken care of in the last motion, and I'll tell you why, because all the talks that we've ever had on this have been, if the money's not exchanged over a counter or through a window, it's a little bit different because you're offering something up to the public. If people are giving ice pops out at the hometown parade, and they're giving them out, we don't charge them the food vendor permit. But if someone wanted to make I would say that it falls under it, but if someone wants a separate motion to discuss it, they can do so. Okay. Now we have consideration of a bartender's license application for Janelle Ballantyne. If you want to just say a few comments, you don't have to. You can if you want to.
Hi, I'm Janelle Valentine. I'm just looking for approval for a bartender's license for Gristmill Pub.
I don't have any issues. I'll make a motion to approve the bartender license application for Janelle Ballantyne.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the bartender application for Janelle Ballantyne. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Now, mine's not coming up here. Did she get a letter or anything? Wasn't she just the only one on the list?
Yes. No, I didn't.
So I just want to be able to make, I just wanted to see the application. Janelle, I just wanted to tell you that typically people don't have to come forward if they haven't been, I appreciate you coming forward, I just didn't want you to feel like it was different for yourself than anyone else. When someone comes forward, if there's no red flags, I'm just saying we would have approved it even if you weren't here, but thank you very much for being here. Typically, people don't have to be here, so I just want to.
That's my fault. Sandy told me to have her come, so.
Oh, no, it's always a good idea to be here, because if something comes up, you're here. Sandy's right, I just didn't want, most times people aren't and they still get approved, I didn't want you to feel like you were a spotlight, so thank you. You're not in trouble. Congratulations on your new license.
Thank you.
But you need to stay now. Oh.
Now we have a couple things for a restricted species permit. We got Julie Perney at 1042 Wellington Way, looking to have 4 chickens.
What am I supposed to say?
Whatever you're kind of seeking.
Oh, okay.
Because
well,
it is technically, the law says you can't have it unless you get approval by the village board, so you can just talk to.
Right. Well, I'd like to have 4 chickens just for eggs and pets, really, is really all it is. I've always wanted chickens, so my husband finally said I could have them. So here we go. He broke down after years.
You're gonna build a coop?
Uh-huh.
The building inspector has reviewed the application and the plans for the coop, and I believe visited the site, and he approves.
Okay.
Actually, both applications.
Okay. I'm good.
I'll make a motion then to approve the restricted species license for Julie Perney at 1042 Wellington Way for 4 chickens.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the, it's the restricted species permit license for 4 chickens at 1042 Wellington Way to Julie Perney. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we have James Sheffield.
Time's breakfast.
James Sheffield at 604 Renton Road for 6 chickens. Is that person here?
Chick-fil-A.
This little background.
This application was also reviewed by Scott Hussinger, the building inspector. He does approve it. He did visit the site. I did inform all applicants to be here either in person or via Zoom, so I don't know that he's on via Zoom.
Obviously, as the board knows, well, we have the, it's best if they're here. But the board does have the right, or, the authority to approve it, or if someone wants to ask questions, or for whatever reason, they could say, no, they have to be here. That is helpful, that Scott, our building inspector, has stated that it's fine, but it's up to the board.
Yeah, I think given the information and the fact that it's been approved, I'd make a motion that we approve James Sheffield at 604 Renton for 6 chickens.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve James Sheffield at 604 Renton Road for 6 chickens. Any discussion? The only thing I'll say with discussion is, especially there are times where questions do come up, so in the future, just as staff has done, encourage people to be here, just as, I know I just said someone didn't have to be here, but it is always helpful if a question comes up, because then it doesn't get pushed off for another couple weeks, so. Any other discussion on this restricted species permit? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have items referred from the Park Board on May 5th, 2025 meeting. We have discussion on food trucks in the parks. As we have it listed here, we got a village board to discuss Park Board referring items against village ordinance. Then we have, after that, we'll discuss S3 Deli food truck and Little Dippers food truck. I guess I will refer to someone from the Park Board, and I know it could be Rick or Shante or Tim, but does someone want to bring us up to speed for anybody that doesn't know what transpired at Park Board?
Well, we reviewed the food truck park policy and added a few things, and I think that's being looked at the administration is looking at that right now.
Okay.
A couple of things that we added was they wanted to add an additional, if you have the park's food truck policy, I know that they asked for an additional food truck going from 2 to 3, I believe. And then also, anybody that was going to be there needed to be under contract. So that was going to be an additional thing. And then there was a third issue, and I can't remember what that was. I'm missing my notes. Rick, can you help me there?
Right, it had to be a local resident or.
Yeah.
Mortar and/or resident-owned business, non-franchise was how it was worded in the motion.
Okay.
So that's basically what we discussed, in a nutshell, I guess.
Okay. All right. So what the village board is going to have to talk about on this issue is it's a change. It's not a change that cannot be made. But the village board is gonna have a lot on their plates because there's multiple things going on, and I'm not sure what the best way to handle it is. And I'm gonna list a couple of them as I see it, only because I am sitting in this seat, so I'm able to. We have an ordinance that may need to be tweaked, which doesn't prohibit us from allowing temporary whatever until that ordinance is done, but we have an ordinance that obviously will need to be tweaked. There's been months spent on food truck policy, but then we were pretty good for a while, and now it's kind of coming up, and it even sounds like it's time for it to be looked at again. But we have just multiple things that need to be looked at. We have whether are we gonna consider something that is drivable or something that's towed behind a truck. Are we gonna consider that the same as a large cooler on wheels for serving ice cream? I think that's one thing that the village board has to talk about. In the past, it was requested kind of just included in the same way. I think that's important to discuss. At the same time, along with that, we have, if the food trucks are gonna go if the food trucks are gonna go at the parks, we're gonna end up needing to figure out where they go at the parks. Are they gonna be standalones? Because we have to come up with fees and things like that for this, but are they going to be, standalones, or are they hooking in and, are they getting things from, the village? We gotta discuss the contract stuff. I'm just going off of what was referred to us. We have to discuss, people saying a contract. So my understanding is the park board was setting it up where they want food in there on a contract, just like the beer garden, as opposed to the current way we do things where a person can come and get a permit, serve food. Now, we've never had a permit like this because this is going outside a special events permit. Those are just some of them that I can think of, and we have to figure it out, because the information coming to us, and Tom, I'm not trying to put you on the hot spot here, but we have contracts where we have with people where those costs take care of DPW picking up garbage. So someone's gonna come and they're gonna be serving food, and I'm gonna ballpark this, and I hate to ever make up numbers. I'm not doing this with anything other than just guessing, but I do a pretty good job. If you come down and serve food, let's say I'm not gonna say Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, because it wouldn't be that, but let's say it's a Thursday night, you might serve 100 people. That could be 100, all kinds of different containers, wrappers, things like that. That's all garbage that DPW is gonna have to pick up. I'm trying to get everybody to actually think of the entire thought process so that we can do this right, instead of having to redo it every 2 years. And I'm saying that just because I think it's good if we do it right. There obviously was a post on Lake Country 411. Obviously, some of those people don't live in Hartland, but there is a want to have food trucks at Nixon Park and make the beer garden more of an event, as opposed to, how it used to be, it was a thing that was there, and it was there to draw people to the village, where it wants to be an event that more so just draws people to the event. But lastly, also, we have to discuss what was sent forward by the park board, that, Culver's just donated $15,000 to the village of Heartland for hometown celebration, and if we were to take that complete recommendation from the board, we're gonna look at them and say, no, if you wanted to come down and serve stuff, you're not allowed to. Even though you're a Hartland business and you pay taxes here, you can't do that, or Cousins. Those are changed, or Sweet Dreams, that's also franchise. Or S3 Deli, if they ever open another S3 Deli, now they're cut out of it. So that's a multitude of businesses within Hartland that get cut out of it. I'm just putting it right out there on what we really need to talk about, and the amount of things that have to be hashed out. We can go in this direction, but based on what's coming from Park Board, I'm gonna be honest, and I know that I'm not gonna have a lot of happy people with me here, but it does seem like it started out as saying just have food trucks, and it's really being curtailed down to a food truck. But that's something that we have to think about. So the board can do, the board is the one that has the authority. I know 3 of you were on Park Board. These are the things we have to figure out. Or we can start divvying it out to Tom, and the reason I'm taking so long talking, people can call it a soapbox, they can say I'm doing whatever I want. You rush the gun on this, and all of a sudden you're just running into issues, like we're running into now, where we can just get it right now. So, I'll let someone else take it, but there's a lot of things to address. More than anything, I think that if we go that route, then we have to change the ordinance. We have to find out from Tom. The board can go any route on this. That's where I'm kind of saying. The board might say no food trucks at Nixon Park Deer in the beer garden, but okay, we're gonna have food trucks in the other parks. Here's the other thing. You got the Ha. You open it up for food trucks, they can go to the Ha. I'm trying to get everybody to think about it's easy to knee jerk, but you're gonna have the Ha, which is a not-for-profit organization, and you're gonna have the ability for 2 food trucks to go and set up shop.
But, I mean, as far as the restrictions that we put from the board, that kind of finites it into a.
As far as the restrictions that you recommended from the park board, yes, it does appear that you're getting down to a finite amount of food trucks, which is what I'm getting at.
Right, well, we're looking at from the standpoint, number one, I think when we made the food truck policy, the whole idea was that we did not want food trucks from Milwaukee, surrounding areas to come here, capture money and leave, where this is a little bit different. I guess also look at when we were talking about at our special meeting for the, what we were gonna do with the beer garden. We kind of collectively said that we didn't want to take it as a village. We wanted to give it to businesses so that they can prosper. So I think that's kind of what we're looking at here as well with S3 Deli is a business, and as a business owner myself, we take a financial risk opening up a business. So I think we also have to look at how can we help these small businesses, because that's what we talked about. And I think, Enters did a great job with starting it up and all that, but as we evolve, we gotta think more strategically, and if the people want food trucks and it's a small business, and we're just opening up more opportunities for there, it helps everybody, small businesses. As far as the trash and everything, well, that's pretty much defined in the contract with Beer Snobs, that they're, they have to clean up. So anybody that goes in there, it'll be the exact same contract. Now we just have to figure out the financial piece of it.
Right.
The other thing is, when you said if he opens up a second one, just a definition, open up a second business is not considered a franchise.
Okay.
So you have to be paying franchise fees in that, so he could have 3 businesses, but it doesn't necessarily mean a franchise.
Sure.
So just a clarification there, because Hometown Pharmacy, 60+ stores, we're not a franchise. There's definitions of what entitles as a franchise.
Okay. Rick, I'm gonna stick to it. All I'm saying is that the park board sent something up that was curtailed towards 1 food truck. But this board needs to decide, even if S3 tomorrow says, I'm just sick of doing a restaurant, I got an opportunity to do another business where I can make 5 times as much money, and they close their doors and go on, the board first has to make up a food truck ordinance and have guidance. Otherwise, we're gonna be back here the next time somebody wants to do this. I'm trying to be helpful. Or if we are going to make a recommendation that we just do it for S3, that's kind of what I'm saying, then let's do it. Let's not do it under the umbrella of we're allowing food trucks and say, hey, we're really just we have a local business that has a food truck, that's what we're doing. Does that?
Well, and I'm fine with that too. We're just trying to figure out how to make it happen, but that's why we specifically said it had to be a brick and mortar, they had to be a local resident or have a business establishment in here, so that does, it's just, unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, fortunately, he has one, but doesn't prohibit another business here
Right.
to get a
Right.
trailer or food truck and that, and then they would fall under this
No, I
change. as
hear
long
what
as
you're
it's
saying.
Within the 3 limits.
I
or
hear what
two-
you're saying.
2 to 3 limits.
We also have, I hear what you're saying. We also have a,
We cannot, we have a contract already in place for Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. And they've already gone and purchased equipment that I don't believe they would have purchased had they known there was gonna be a food truck or food trucks or other establishments selling food. I think we discussed all that in the meeting. At least this year, I really don't think we can change the scheduling for beer snobs for the beer garden area. I think we're pretty much locked in to what we agreed with them. So I don't, and I don't want to cut off business in Hartland, but as far as that goes, we have a contract. I think we have to stand by our word and our signatures.
I need some clarification here. The park board is an advisement committee, correct?
yeah.
Okay. So the park food truck policy is a policy. The Hartland Code of Ordinances, Article 7, mobile food vendors. There is no listing of any parks listed on there as far as any items that are on the park food truck policy in the actual law or the ordinances. So technically, would we be going against the ordinance if we were to allow other food trucks because it's not listed in the ordinance?
I think that would fall, because it's, and I feel like it's.
Because we haven't adopted that, we haven't adjusted the ordinance.
I believe that I mean, I think that it's arguable from both sides from a legal standpoint, just giving my opinion. I mean, I think that you are correct in that. I believe that, to come out and say it and in trying to help local business, there was the Little Dippers was serving ice cream, literally a cart that is pushed by a person, not a food truck, not any ice cream truck. As I was a kid, the ones that drive through the neighborhood, not only that, but that was going down and was selling ice cream. Then there was, if not mistaken, the donations. Donuts came forward, and I think that there was, there was bend. There was bend in trying to allow this, and because they're feeling, this is my interpretation, because that was gonna keep on coming, the park board said, you know what, let's limit it at 2, and they made a policy, and the way I see it is kind of for the park board of, let's limit this at 2. Well, then donations wasn't coming, they're 8 times a year this year, and now there's just more coming for food trucks. And I'm not being confusing, but Tim, I think you're right. We didn't go and adjust the ordinance. I would say that policy, yes, because the ordinance wasn't adjusted, was more so guidance for the park board, so that the park board wasn't all of a sudden being asked for a third, and they were able to say, no, we're already at 2, we're done. This is a tough one, because I don't really want to get into, I want to help local business also. I really do. And, and I can just come out and say it, but we had someone presenting here. I do agree with Ann Walschlager on the contract. We made a contract to come and do it now after not having done it. I do believe that that's really, and I know people are saying, oh no, just go and redo the contract, but it's like, and also the expediency which we're supposed to do it. It was presented to us, and then like, well, can't you provide a temporary? I want to be very careful on how I speak here, but if we're going in that direction and we're making the village better, I mean, we've been talking about dropping the lines on Cottonwood for 6 years, and they're still up. We take time getting towards those things. Now, this isn't that big of a project, but you do it right. If we're going to open up the door, DPW has been up there already, and I mean, this is going to be a long discussion, and I think it's going to be a long process. And I think we do, I mean, if we want to allow something temporarily, then we allow something temporarily. If having food, like was on Lake Country 411 at Nixon Park, and having great options so that people don't have to stop somewhere and they can just go right to the beer garden, Well, then you have your decisions to make on that also. If the village board exists just to help prop up local businesses, the village board isn't here to prop up local residents, and I really mean that. We'll pick up your brush, but if you ain't paying your water bill, it ain't getting paid. So I'm just saying, we're not here to, if someone comes in and says, I'm having trouble, I'm struggling, we aren't helping you. We're gonna send you to St. Vincent de Paul, we're gonna send you to the food pantry. That's what government does. We send you to an organization that might be able to help you. We can do this and make the change, but I agree with Ann, until we re-go over that contract, we need to do that. If we do want to allow them in Nixon Park, I think that's fine also, but if we're allowing them in Nixon Park, it should be because we're trying to provide options for our residents, not just to prop up a business. So to rush and say, no, only, right now there's only one, and I don't wanna get, because there's the funnel truck, but to do it just so that one business can get in there for whatever that reason is, and that business's hours of operation are, I only want to work when the beer garden's open, maybe Ann is right, where we talk about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or other parks at all times. Obviously, we haven't even talked to the HA yet to talk about, you know what I mean? Someone could take a food truck, get a permit for down there.
Centennial would be great. I mean, that place is busy all the time.
Right, and I'm not saying I don't want to do it at Nixon, we could do that, it's just, we can prep for it for next year, get it right, and then be all set to go. I don't personally agree with the, I don't know, I haven't thought about it that much, but I mean, I don't know if I agree with the contract thing. I think the village gets a lot more money, by not having contracted food truck. You have a business go belly up, you're going from 2 food trucks down to 1, I don't know. I'm throwing everything out there because it's actually a lot that we're trying to do. Unfortunately, I'll give you 30 seconds, Craig. Now, Craig, you're on the park board. We're in the discussion and you abstained.
Correct. I was part of the discussion.
No, I know, but you abstained from the vote.
Correct, I did. I did not.
But you were part of the discussion.
Part of the discussion.
Right. I think we're gonna leave this to the village board. We got the recommendation from the park board.
They're missing a part.
From the park board?
From what we discussed in the park board.
30 seconds.
Okay, we also discussed that we weren't gonna conflict with beer snobs. Oh, sorry, Craig Eisenhut. We're supposed to verify there's no exclusive contract with beer snobs, and make sure that we weren't conflicting with their best interests. That was part of the discussion. So I wanted to make sure that that was clear. And if I'm not mistaken, that was sent in an email that we weren't conflicting.
I don't know thank you, Greg. I don't know if it was inflicted. I know that this entire board implied and didn't think that someone was gonna come forward and say, simply because you didn't put it in writing in there, unless someone on the board wants to tell me that wasn't discussed, because it was
I thought
discussed.
they had exclusive rights for food and alcohol there.
There's nothing in the contract that says exclusive, so it.
But that's what we
it-
verbally
Right,
told
right.
them.
But the other thing I guess I really want to do is, I heard from Stephanie, you heard from Stephanie, it's conflicting. Isn't it possible to just invite her here and get the information out? I mean, we're doing things, because I spoke to her personally. You
Got it in
spoke
an
to her.
email.
You
We
spoke
got it
to her.
Rick, we got it in an email.
She sent an email.
That's fine. That email was done beforehand. These discussions happened after the email. The email's dated like April 14th or 17th or something like that.
We just got an email in the last week.
I don't.
And no, Stephanie, they said they're open, if the village wants to allow food trucks down there, they're open to it. If they
Okay, so
don't, they
then
don't.
why are we talking about exclusivity? Because they just said that they're fine with coming out, so the contract doesn't mean anything.
Because this is the village board, Rick, and we decide, the people that are
No,
running
I
the
get
beer
that.
garden for the village don't just come and tell the village board. I mean, they could say that, and they could
But
say
we were
they're
just
open
saying here
to
that
it.
we gave them an exclusivity, but they just said that they don't care, so then to me, the contract, whether it says exclusivity or not, doesn't make a difference because they're overriding it.
Rick,
saying-
I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying this entire board, in my opinion, in the meetings I sat through, implied towards them, including yourself asking questions saying, tell me what's going to be on your menu, implied that there was a chance they wouldn't get the contract if they weren't gonna serve food. I find it odd to do that and ask that question, and I know that most of these board members thought that we were saying you have to make sure you serve food because we don't want to be without food, to now come and say it's not exclusively if it goes to a court of law, which I don't know if that's totally legit. I think of them listening to meetings that they would say, yeah, it was implied. But regardless of all that, to now say, well, just because we didn't write it, how does that make the village board look to the rest of the community if we say specifically we didn't write it and they're like, yeah, we gotcha?
We did have numerous discussions about implying that they were going, I mean, talked about their menu and their commitment to the food. And so we, without question, had an implied discussion, contract, if you will, about having them serve food and alcohol.
And part of the reason that I want to keep, and I know that you're saying bring them down here, part of the reason I want to keep them down, out of the conversation, because I don't think that just focusing on one business, like someone that might run it for 2 years, and I'm doing this out of respect for them, they sent an email, like they just want it to, they don't want to keep on hearing beer snobs in a village board meeting when they're doing nothing. They showed up, they have a contract, they're not even here. It's other people saying, why aren't they here for part of the, I mean, if we want to sit down and have a meeting, we have developers that come in and all kinds of things. We sit down with library, DPW, we'll sit down and have a meeting. If these people want to have a meeting, but to say we have to have a debate at the village board, it's just not the right venue for a debate. No, well, that's what it is. It's that I feel that's what people are asking for them to go back and forth.
Can I add something?
Yes.
So on top of the application, because we're going on and on with this Nixon Park thing, but he also has industrial park on here that we haven't touched base on as well. It's on your application here.
We touched on industrial park. We said he just had to come forward for the permit. When he had presented, no, I was just yep, so that one was addressed because they had a location to take the food truck to, and when Matt was presenting.
It's on the application.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying
Yeah,
when he
I
was
know.
presented, said he had a location, I'm like, well, that one's done, because private property, you're good.
So this is just a copy of the old one, this is not new, is that what you're saying?
It was approved at the last meeting.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, for the industrial park stuff,
Yeah, it was approved at the last meeting for.
Well, that's
industrial
what I
park.
thought, but then you see this and it has industrial park again, so I assumed something had changed.
No, he's,
Okay.
to have a food truck,
So this one really should not have that on there then for this meeting?
correct, it's
Okay.
already been approved.
All right, that's what we needed to know.
I would have to confirm that it's been approved, that it was voted on last time.
He doesn't have to have it voted on, we voted on it in the ordinance if you're on
Right, private
residential,
property.
or if you're on commercial private
Right.
property, you're able to
Correct.
come in and
And-
get your permit and you can start
And the
selling.
village manager can approve it, correct?
correct.
Yep. And I guess
That's
I just want to comment, and this is more for the public's knowledge, especially, under a special event permit, food trucks are allowed in the village. So, they are allowed. There are special events, National Night Out, that is the village's event, and that is, it's done by permit, special event permit, and there are food trucks at that event under that special event permit.
That is accurate. That's already a go.
I think, I mean, just my point of view, so I haven't really said anything yet here on this, is I'm in alignment with Ann and the contract that we signed. I think I'm not opposed to the idea of food trucks, but given the circumstances and the email we got from Tim and Stephanie with their understanding of what they agreed to and what we signed, I don't think it wouldn't be good business to go against a contract. It would be unethical, and I can't be a part of that.
I just have a quick question, and one before the board reads on this.
Matt, if you, just a couple of seconds, but you have to go to the microphone.
No, that's fine. It's pertaining to what Ann had said, and I have all respect for you guys, but the email that was sent 3 days ago from Stephanie, it clearly states that the only thing she wants is if we're down there. It actually states that she would like us down there because the long lines.
Matt, we cannot take your interpretation of what, we can't.
It's not an
Matt,
interpretation.
Matt, we can't. That was sent to the board, I believe,
Yeah,
correct?
well, it's not an interpretation. She actually clearly states it'd be great for the community and she would like somebody down there because the lines were long and she feels like it would be great. That's word for word from her. It's not an interpretation.
Understood.
And I can forward the email too, so. I just wanted that to be said, because it's not that she said she doesn't care, she actually said she thinks it would be great for the community.
That email wasn't shared at all? No?
I can forward it.
I'm looking right now and it's not on there.
No, there's no email.
Mm-mm.
I asked Jeff to forward it to everybody, including the park board.
Yeah, she said that you didn't get anything on that?
I got the email. and
No,
I think
I
you
believe
got
the
it,
park
and
board should have gotten the contract.
I have a copy of the contract, but I don't think the rest of the park.
I asked Ryan, Randy Farrell wanted it, so.
Yeah.
I said email, it's a public document.
No, but the email that she sent me and you, Jeff, has that been forwarded to everybody, so we can, is some clarification? Sorry, I just wanted to.
If it was after
Well, that can be
Wednesday.
done later. I don't think now's the time.
Yeah,
to-
Yeah,
it's-
and if it was
But she
after,
did, I mean, I'll clarify, she did say in there, she's like, after the long line, she's like, that would be fine if you guys.
Line that was for beer, for the most
Well,
part.
it may be.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it, this is where I'm trying to control the conversation. I want people to stop taking any business and thinking about it, and I want you to think about what's at hand right now, because we have two more businesses that we then need to talk about. And I'm just trying to, you see what I'm saying, as a village, if we, I'm hesitant to say things because then it makes it look like we're going at somebody. But even if whoever's running the beer garden comes forward and says, hey, we're gonna do this and we're gonna put a tent up in the parking lot because we want, it doesn't mean we would do that. It's still the village's property, it's still, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I think it definitely opens up the door to saying the village and the person running it wants, to possibly have more options down there because it's small confines. I just want to touch on the village discussion on food trucks in the parks. We have to discuss that, because it's not only Nixon Park. You have the Ha, Tim, is that Bark River Park?
Hartland.
The Ha is down there. So then we have to start differentiating when and what times, they can go to what parks. And maybe the Ha doesn't care, maybe they would welcome it, I don't know. I'm saying I'm trying to get everybody to think on the bigger picture, and then we can go down, from there. We have a contract at Nixon Park. We have things that go on at the Ha. But no one seems to want any times when it's not the beer garden.
Well,
So,
Jeff, they're obviously trying to cash in on the crowd on Thursday
right,
night.
right.
So
When the
that-
people are
that's-
there that you would be able to
right,
serve food to. That
right.
makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty obvious. My only question, and I shared this with Craig as well, is one of the comments at the park board meeting was more the merrier. Bring in as many food trucks as you want. Well, our amenities, our Nixon Park amenities, our bathrooms can only handle so many people. That line, the men's room is right next to the concession stand, and that line gets long at 8:30 or whatever. The women's gets long at the beginning of the night. So, and they don't seem to want to go all the way over to the pickleball bathrooms, even though they know about them. But, so I'm just saying that there comes a time where it's gonna be too crowded for us to handle the amount of people that are there, just because we don't have enough bathrooms. And I don't know, do you wanna get in and start renting porta potties and all that kind
Right.
of stuff? So, that's another one of my concerns.
Yeah, I hear you. And I mean, I can tell you kind of where I'm leaning. Based on that 411, I mean, right now, we got a contract with beer stops. But I think that by having the amount of time, I mean, we're only in May, but to start talking about, what do we want, what can we handle? We have to come up with a fee, if we even allow them. Because, after this year, we can re-look at that contract, that's in the contract, that we can re-look at it. But we have to talk to DPW because, again, for all that trash that's in the beer garden, if someone's taking food and going and sitting in the beer garden, and this is the thing that I wish that park board had gotten that contract, they are responsible for making sure all that trash is picked up. So I want to make sure that fee, because we're probably going to end up having someone from DPW or in some way, shape, or form going over to, because, beer stops shouldn't have to do all that if you have other vendors. But I'm talking for future, like let's say we're talking about next year, I want the fee to be in line, just like it is for beer snobs, And those are the things that I think we need to think about. You know, if a food truck goes down to Nixon Park on Thursday night, you know, my guess is they're gonna make about $1,000. And if you're looking to gain, you know, you try to be in between that 8%, 12% window, you know, you hit it in the middle, that's $100. Now, I'm all for, you know, village businesses, village residents, they should have a 15% discount. But I think that by doing it on a contract basis, I don't know, you're gonna kind of close the door on the amount of money we may get or the type of food that we're gonna get. Do you wanna have 2 slots? And this is what I think the village board needs to think about. Do you wanna, you don't wanna allow so many slots that people are buying food, but then everybody's left with half their food, because that would just, no one would pay to come.
And where are we gonna put the,
Microphone.
trucks? Where are we gonna put the trucks? I mean, there's hardly enough parking, there isn't enough parking
Right.
as it is.
Right.
So now, where are we gonna put them?
Right. And
Another thing to
even when we
discuss.
do put the trucks down, right now it's grass, but if you get every week that people are stammering on the grass and there's not a path, do you put paths? I'm just saying, these are things we need to think about for the long run as opposed to just right now. And now that doesn't mean we can't get those things done this year. It doesn't take that long to change an ordinance, but I'm just saying, these are all the things that the village board needs to think about if we make this change. Do we just eliminate and say you're not allowed to go to the Ha or the Bark River? Because that conflicts with them, I don't know. I don't know. I don't believe the Ha doesn't pay down there, do they, or do they, Tim?
They have a user agreement, they pay for the electrical for that canteen, they take care of all the, well, they take care of all the bathrooms.
Right.
You know, we come through and do a thorough cleanup and stuff like that after.
You do the unlocking, and if it's rented out when it's not in use by them?
Correct, when it's not in use by them, they come there, they open it up, everything inside, you know, we help them out, kinda like we do with the beer garden and stuff like that for the building itself, but a lot of the stuff is self-run.
But they're
by
basically
them.
grandfathered in, they don't pay a fee like other places would to rent that park every night.
No,
when
it's
they're doing
it's
stuff.
a deposit that they put down at the beginning of the year. It's like a user agreement for the canteen, just like the Legion does up at Nixon Park.
Yep, and then they get that back,
Correct.
if it's ever, it's all kosher?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they obviously pay for the fees and the preps and everything like that, but to use the canteen itself, no.
Well, I guess, I mean, I've kind of said enough. I think it's more important that others chime in. I don't know how far we can get tonight, other when we can start directing the village to, I mean, one thing we could do is start directing that, whether or not, and I mean, I don't know exactly what the right steps are to get the horse moving, or get the cart moving, but whether we want to start looking at that ordinance to start allowing, I mean, we're already okay on, we don't allow them in the streets. Do we want to allow them in the streets in the industrial park? Like, if we're gonna do this, now is the time to talk about that, but I think that's a pretty easy one. But, you know, when it comes to the parks, how are we gonna do that? Are we gonna allow it during beer garden time, for 2025? Are we gonna not, you know, I'm just trying to figure out a way to get it started, because obviously people want more food options in the park. And I mean, there's a million ways this could go. I think everybody's kind of honing it in on their own way, but is the village gonna pay 80 grand and build an addition onto the beer garden? I'm not saying we should do that. I'm saying these are all the avenues we could go, though. At first, it seems really simple, but there's a lot to think about. Where someone's standing at the food truck, like originally I was thinking, you know, you have 2 trucks right there, right on the edge of what would be the ice rink there, in between the warming shed and the beer garden. I totally disagree with that. You have someone that's on contract for that property. You can't just set the food truck. You're literally running 2 contracts. You're renting out property you're already getting paid for. Or you're renting out a park facility you're already getting paid for. So then it's like figuring out the space, you know?
I don't think we can allow anyone down there this year on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Nixon. I'm only talking Nixon. I think there's a big opportunity for other parks that isn't even being addressed, but.
I think we should address it, though. I think we should start talking, maybe that's what you're saying. We
I-
start talking about other than those 2 parks.
I think, especially on Saturdays and the weeknights, the parks, the Centennial, because that's when I go by all the time, is always packed, and there's nobody selling food down there at all. But if we're also, I hate to bring this up, I've been debating this. If we're going to go over this ordinance, we need to also address, and I'm sorry, Craig, on one private property lot, they cannot be on one private property or in the street for more than 8 hours within a 24-hour period. They have to be moved. We need to address that also and maybe change that.
We can, and I hear you on that.
You know what I'm
I'm not
talking
saying you
about.
don't have a valid point. I want it
That was
for,
brought up to
for
me.
us to be, no, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I want to throw out I'm not saying you're wrong on that. If we're looking at the whole ordinance, I don't disagree. Tonight it says discussion on food
Right,
trucks.
but
in
we were
town.
talking about reviewing the ordinance.
Yeah,
And that would be
yeah,
part of it.
we could put that on and discuss that.
I just wanted, so I didn't forget
Nope.
that.
Understood.
But my vote is no for Nixon.
Well, but that's the way it is right now, so what,
Yes.
do we want to start to look at this, I guess is my point.
Absolutely.
So that
I
we
think we
start,
definitely want to start to look at it.
Oh, yes.
I think so too. I mean, because that would be directing staff. We want Tom to look at what areas outside of what's already rented, are we thinking of doing this? You know, there's different ideas, you know, those types of things.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys kind of want my opinion right now on Nixon, you know, as far as where it's gonna go. Right now, if we put anywhere in Nixon, my opinion is it shouldn't be on the grass, especially if we're doing this Thursday through Sunday, because it's gonna get wet. It's gonna get, you know, moist. We've had issues in the past with, you know, other food vendors and stuff like that, events pulling through, our grass, rutting it up and everything like that. It should be on the pavement, in my opinion. And it's gonna take up parking spots. That's what it's gonna come down to. If it's in Nixon Park and it's not on the grass, it's gonna take up parking spots. The spot that I looked through the park today and kinda went over was, as soon as you pull into Nixon off of East Park, that new parking we added to the left, there's 12 spaces right there. You know, that would be the area that I would take, just because I don't think we should take away from the big parking lot, you know, down by the beer garden, because that is always packed. Even if it's on a slow day at the beer garden, that parking lot is packed. If we take 12 spots out of that, that would really do a lot for us. That parking lot, we talked about putting it over by the dumpster, kind of along that back wall. For turning radius and everything else, it's not gonna fit. It's not gonna work out there. So another suggestion I would have too is every food truck has their own power. Cause, you know, if we're trying to traipse power all through the park, now I have to have staff there if the power goes down, power goes out, we have electric cords running everywhere, trip hazards, stuff like that. So those are kind of the things that I was thinking about today with bringing food trucks in the park, is kind of where are we gonna put it? Cause it's gonna take away a parking spot. That's what I have to say. As far as logistics go.
Sure. That they should have their independent generator and
Yeah,
power.
yeah, absolutely. That would alleviate so much on our part and just having issues, you know, which most food trucks do have generators. I don't think that's a big issue personally, but, you know,
They go in this parking lot, right here? I mean, we're right next to the park,
that would be.
on the blacktop.
Library, I mean, he's got a lot of stuff
no.
going on and programs
Okay.
at night.
Sorry,
PD,
forget I
you
brought
know,
that
I mean,
up.
That's, you know, it's open
a
for discussion
suggestion.
where we put it, but that's just my general thoughts glancing at it. Cause we talked in park board about like locations, you know, cause like the next two things were specifically S3 Deli and Little Dippers. And it was one of the things on the motion for that was, okay, a spot with a DPW. So I've been thinking about that since then.
How many spots would it take up at the library parking lot? 3 or 4 probably?
Depends on how many trucks we allow. You know, so that's kind of the thing. I mean, if we're doing a big thing where we're allowing 5 or 6 or 10 or 2 or 1, you know, but.
I'm not worried about the can of worms. I personally wouldn't be totally for that, only because seeing on Lake Country 411 where people want, you know, food in the vicinity, now you're talking about people crossing streets and stuff
Right.
like
The
that.
corner of the parking lot. I mean, honestly, you could draw library users to that food truck. That might not be a bad idea. But then, like you said, if you get 4, 5, 6, then that does become an issue. But I don't think that's a bad idea. You have the Ice Age Trail right there. You could have people from the library going to get food coming into the library. I have no problem with that. It would just need to be, there needs to be clear instructions on what to do. So.
Well, and going back to it, I mean, everyone that brings a food truck in there is gonna want it to be directly right next to the beer garden.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
not
not gonna
trying
do
to turn people away from doing that. I'm just looking at what we have. The area that's directly in front of the beer garden is handicapped. We can't remove those spots. Even the spots that aren't handicapped right next to them are people that you know, should have those spots, in my opinion, that aren't moving the best, right?
Right.
So I don't wanna take away our prime parking for the beer garden for those food trucks, was my opinion.
The trucks went in that location, the people standing at the window would be able to stand on pavement?
Yeah, yep,
Well,
definitely,
no, that's,
so.
because I'm thinking about the grass. You start
Yep.
doing this on a regular basis.
Yeah,
it's
so
gonna-
I'd push them up against the back edge of trailers, you know, have them line up in that, and then they would, you know, the lines would, you know, kinda curl out into that.
Sure.
The only thing is, you know, there's 2 lanes right there and stuff like that, traffic, you know, we might have to put like little, barriers up or, little stanchions, if you will, if the food trucks would come out and put that out to kinda direct, hey, don't stand in the middle of the traffic flow, cause, you know, it's bound to happen if someone gets backed up or anything like that right there, so. There's things to consider, and we can look at that, you know, and see what we got going there. But that's just from looking at it today and glancing at it, that's what I was envisioning.
Well, I think it was it you, Tom, that was, or one of you was saying, you know, we definitely have to look at the ordinance. So we have to do that, and, you know, while we're looking at that ordinance, I think that we're gonna have to decide on, you know, I know we got recommendations, but what are we gonna allow in? I believe more in a, discount, method, where if someone's coming in, you know, you get a discount if you're a village business. Kinda like how we do with our rec program, anybody that's a village, or there's the price, I think they pay $15 additional if they're from outside of, you know, something like that. But that's my take on it, where Hartland gets a price, and then if you are a business from outside, you're gonna pay a higher price. But anybody, obviously, just because we're having this, I mean, anybody can make any motion that they want.
So how do we proceed in having a further discussion with regards to modifications to the ordinance?
Well, you could make a motion to just completely look at the whole ordinance. You can make any motion you wanted, if you wanted to, say you wanna look at the ordinance, but not, you know, we could deal with that then, cause we obviously have people conflicting on the beer garden. I'm saying members of the board conflicting. You could omit it now. You could say, well, we'll just do it then on whether, you know, what are we gonna do about the HA? No one's even contacted them. I'm just saying, you could make a motion to just, we want staff to start looking at it and start giving us their recommendations, so that we can start curtailing the ordinance. I think that, one of the biggest things that could be achieved tonight is whether the village wants to start looking into, cause right now, we don't really have it. Right now, they're only allowed in the parks under a special event. Do we wanna start looking at opening up the parks to food trucks? Even if it is that, you know, we did have, you know, who was it? The brewery tried doing a beer garden at one point in time. Melms, and they did that over at Hartbrook Park. So I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility to start, you know, allowing these things, and after the contract gets negotiated, if we want, or we don't have to pay attention to the contract. And I'm not saying that's my opinion. I'm trying to lay a person can make a motion to do whatever they think we should do. I think at a minimum, we need to, as opposed to just kicking the can down the road, start having some staff input, like Tom's, where it becomes in writing. Are we going to allow stuff at Nixon? Those are the things I think we need to make a motion on to continue moving forward.
I just want to say that I'm in favor of having the food truck at Nixon, but we do need to work on the ordinance because it clearly is not clear, and there's a lot of things that need to be clearly written, so we're not sitting here for hours talking about this all the time. And also list all the parks that are available, because I feel like our local businesses should be able to do this. And our village is growing. We've approved many apartments and houses and all of these things. One restaurant can't cater to all of that. I think we just need to be supportive. So that's just my 2 cents.
No, well, obviously, I agree. I definitely think we should review the ordinance and make it a priority and see how fast we can make a decision and adjustments.
I think that we should include, I think this might not be a bad, let's set a, shoot. Ryan, are you on?
Yeah, I'm on.
Public hearing for village ordinance, not saying that we would have it on a specific date. What's the fastest an ordinance can change if the board wanted to change one?
2 readings, so you could do, introduce May 27th, you would have a first reading, and then June, is it June 12th? Am I right on that date? I might be wrong, I'm probably wrong.
9th.
June 9th. You could suspend the rules at the June 9th meeting and approve it.
And it does have to take a public hearing, correct? Change an ordinance?
It's not a public hearing, it's 3 readings.
So there
You
is- okay.
can waive the 3rd.
Understood. Okay, so we do not need a public hearing.
Correct.
Okay, so we can just move forward as we were. Sorry, I wanted, I think we, put it on the agenda for next, week. I'm not saying it will move through that quick, but I'm saying we can start knocking things down. I think we should at least come forward, and as a board, we're gonna, I think next meeting, this meeting, we're saying, okay, we wanna start looking at the ordinance. Next meeting, I think we need to talk about whether or not we're gonna have it at beer garden hours. I'm saying down the road, because you can have stuff in the ordinance that says this portion of the ordinance doesn't take effect until whatever, you can do those things. But, we need to know what parks, are we gonna allow this to? And I think people need to think long and hard. The way it was, advised forward from Park Board was that, basically it's, not franchises, not chains, but it could be a village resident, or it can be, a village business can go down there. Sometimes that gets a little herky-jerky, but because you can come and rent the office for $500 a month. But regardless, I don't think we need to get into those weeds right now, but I think we need to start talking about those things, because then we can get to these businesses and say, okay, here's the parameters you're working under, do you want to get a permit?
I agree.
And I do want to say, and because we have it coming up, we're going to have to include in this discussion on whether we are going to consider push carts selling food, or just ice cream, or even, and I would even included that, we keep on focusing just on food trinkets. We have someone standing in front of us that comes and gets a permit every year and doesn't do anything unless they have a permit. But you go on Hometown Celebration, and there's quite a few people walking around with carts selling glow-in-the-dark this and glow-in-the-dark that, and I've never seen them come to a board to sell anything, and I really think the board needs to think about that, on whether they want to. I don't want to go against the ordinance, but
Part of that discussion can be reclassifying or classifying.
yep, exactly.
And fees.
And fees associated.
Yep, exactly.
I'll send everyone a copy of the ordinance tomorrow, because again, I know you guys mentioned staff reviewing it, but we definitely want village board input as well.
Got
Because
it
you guys are
tonight,
the
Ryan.
voters, so.
Board was, each member was given a copy of the food.
Okay.
Ordinance.
Ryan,
Yeah,
could you also, even though I understand it's after the fact, can we send the Beer Snobs contract? And the 2
Yep.
emails from Beer Snobs, can we send those to, Park Board and Village Board members, please?
we can.
And I don't want any of this discussion to take away of how excited we are for the beer garden. It sounds like it went really well for Bark River Bash, and I think it's gonna go outstanding and continue to be a hit down there. Obviously, it's not outgrowing its space when it comes to people being able to be down there, but it sounds like it's outgrowing its space when it comes to, even the people we contract with getting enough out that, others need to be allowed to go down there, and also, not only to serve the community, but it helps our local businesses, so. But all of that. You don't have to say all of that, obviously, you can. This is what I mean by sometimes things aren't in writing, but the whole board here knows what was just said. If someone came in the next meeting and was like, we didn't say we're gonna talk about that, it'd be like, oh, okay.
I'll make a motion that we move forward with addressing and rewriting, modifying the ordinance from what it is written today. And take a look at the things like all the different parks and hours of operation and when it might make sense for trucks to operate in different places, and as it pertains to Nixon Park and the beer garden.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to move forward, starting at the next village board meeting by putting it on the agenda, to discuss changing or modifying the, food truck ordinance or mobile food vendor, ordinance that we have now, including hours, parks, trucks, what businesses can get in on it, and get stuff, fees, and all the other things that might go along with that. And that's, I'm gonna add this. It's been moved and seconded. I'm just gonna say, so all staff that would be involved, I want you guys to be willing to give your input, in your lanes. You know, Tom, obviously, if, you know, you've already started, but like giving that kind of information is extremely helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
So. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. I know no one likes it when I do this, but I'm going to take a recess. Really quick. Well, not really quick. I'm actually gonna grab a water. We had S3 Deli Food Truck. Thanks. Which was put under, I believe this was also referred from Park Board, correct? Is that accurate or no?
What?
I don't know.
For what was?
Just S3 Deli Food, or was that just part of it because those are the two applications sitting?
I don't know what you're asking me.
The,
S3 was referred, yes.
on the agenda, just, I'm saying, do we need to just take up the S3?
In other words, you need to make a motion on that as well? Is that what you're saying?
I think, or we can take them both up at the same time, if people are gonna say, well, see what we come up with in the ordinance, but because it's on the agenda, I think we should. Everybody see what I'm saying, because they're on there, but yeah, you have the right to speak. We'll take S3 first.
I'm Matt Valentine. I'm the owner of S3 Deli. First off, I want to apologize. When I started this whole thing, I did not mean to open up such a beehive's nest of everything that's going on. My ultimate goal was to help the village of Hartland and obviously selfishly grow my business as well. I think that in the feedback I've gotten, and I'm going to try as much to stay away from, well, Beer Snob said this and I said this, because I think that's a moot point at this point. I think when everybody sees the email that was just requested, maybe that will have a little clarification. I think my ultimate goal, and judging by what you guys were just saying, the other parks going on and the contract issue, I think the reason that was brought up was because I'm not looking to go to the I'm not looking to pull at a different spot every night of the week. I want to be a stationary thing at the beer garden to offer a secondary, a more variety menu that, judging by the Lake Country 411, and I actually brought in just something that I've had, and I've got about 480 signatures of people that say they would love the variety as well. And they're from our community and surrounding communities that said that they would frequent the beer garden more if we had more options. So my whole goal is to help the community. I mean, I want to work with DPW, and like just judging by everything else that was said, a couple points I want to make is I would have a completely different menu than Beer Snobs. And I meant no disrespect when I stood up earlier. And once you see the menu or the email, she clearly stated that she wants to keep her contract how it is. She would just thinks it would be great and the community would love having a secondary. That's where my contract would be. We would have completely separate containers for our food. So when you look at that fine for not picking up the garbage, you're not gonna go, the DPW is not gonna go there and say, well, who left this mess? You're gonna be able to tell, well, that's an S3 container or that's a Beer Snobs container, and then you can go to that person for that fine or for whatever it is. So I guess I appreciate you guys pushing it up to look at the ordinance. I guess what I'd ask for at this point, and you know, it just is possibly like a special temporary event permit while we're going through this. I know that it's already being pushed up to talk to. Maybe even a trial run basis to where I can work with DPW, find a spot that would work. I do not eat hookups. I'm fully self-sufficient. I have a generator, I have electric, I have water. I don't need anything from the village other than a suitable place that works for you guys to park, and see how it works, you know, and maybe it comes to the point where there's just not enough room for something else down there. But I think having a special temporary, let's see how it works while we're figuring this out. And you know what, maybe 3 weeks from now, you guys decide, hey, this isn't where we want to go. And at that point, my special permit's pulled and we go back to the drawing board. But I think that judging by Lake Country 411, I think judging by the people that I've seen over the last 3 to 4 weeks since my first initial meeting, this is something that the village wants. And I get it, Jeff, there's so much more that goes into it than just a bunch of people saying, yeah, let's do it. People get excited when they hear things and think that it should just happen like this. But I do think that, like with my trailer, I think this is becoming a little bit bigger issue than what it is. With the approval of Beer Snob saying they don't even care, their contract's fine, just give me a contract for the same thing, because if they're not open, they get a fine. If I'm not open, I should get a fine. If I leave garbage, or I get a fine, they get a fine. So I think that's where a lot of the discussion has been at. I think we can move on from that and just say, hey, I'm not partnering with them. This is my own entity. This is my own business. So whatever goes on from here, I want it to just be just about me and not about them. So, yeah, I guess I'd just be asking, while we're looking at the ordinance and making those changes, if changes are made, is there a possibility of getting a temporary special event permit while those items are being made? And like I said, I would meet with Beer Snobs, make sure we have a separate menu, because the whole goal is to provide variety for the village. So I guess that's all I have to say.
Well, Matt, you know, what I would say to that, and I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to be curt with this, but a lot of times in what you're saying, like even your last statement where you're like, I'll meet with, this is an individual, like their contract with us is individual, like when you're like, we'll meet with them, you know, we're not trying to draw someone to have to meet with them. We're not trying to have DPW trying to decipher, you know, between different garbages, or I'm not. And even like that you're talking about, like, oh, they would know who to go after. DPW, I mean, you're assuming that it would only be S3 and that other, you know, food trucks wouldn't be in, and we would have to make it part of the ordinance to be like, okay, you use red stuff, you use blue, you use green. And I see what you're saying. There seems to be such a rush and an expediency to get food down there in food trucks. That it does make me, and I'm only speaking for myself, but it makes me hesitant because, you know, we're moving the ball forward and now there's this rush, like, let's try it temporarily, let's try. Heartland for 8 years has had a beer garden that has not had a lot of complaints, other than maybe the food wasn't good enough, but we do have somewhat, yeah, the lines too long, things like that. So I get that, but it's not like we have a situation, or at least not to me. I mean, I saw 411 and people were like, yeah, have them down there. It's not like we've seen some major situation where people are like, I'm not even going to the beer garden because I don't feel that I can, because I don't feel that I can get any food. Like I say, originally the beer garden was supposed to be, people would stop and get food at S3 Deli and walk down with their sandwiches.
But that's against the village ordinance as well, though.
What is?
there's no walk-ins. It's actually a village ordinance that there's no walk-ins to the beer garden as well. To where
But
you're
they
not,
can sit and watch the music. A
They
lot
can-
of people do.
but that's considered part of the beer garden, isn't it?
No.
Like,
The stage?
well, because I know, like, when we go down there, there's people by the picnic tables that have coolers and bringing their own food in, and
That's alcohol.
I mean, but
There's no
pretty
alcohol, there's not supposed to be carry-ins. But if they
well,
bring
and I
in,
get it, but there is, and I'm not trying to be contentious, and my big thing with the whole, this seems like it's being a rush, I mean, it's been almost 2 months now since, like, this whole thing started. I think it seems like it's being a rush on my part, because really, if it's something that's gonna be allowed, the beer garden opens up in not long from now.
right,
You know, and so it's something that obviously, just like anybody else who is down there, if it's something I'm to be allowed to do, there's other things I've got to do. I've got to take care of. I've got to insure I've got my business insurance, but I've got to get my trailer insured. I've been waiting to do that because why am I going to pay for insurance for something that is just sitting there? So I got,
and Matt,
you know,
I'm gonna touch on that.
there's things I
And
gotta take
I'm gonna say that's what I gather from this. I don't gather that you're trying to run a food truck.
Oh, I am.
And that you're gonna go into all kinds of places, cause you're
Oh,
not gonna
no.
get it insured unless the village, what you wanna do is have your food truck at the beer garden.
Well, no, I've been waiting because I'll be completely honest with you, Jeff. I have Oconomowoc and Pewaukee. I've got people there that said if I put my application in there, they'll let me park it there 7 days a week. I can keep it there. I don't have to move it. It'll stay right there. And I don't want to do that. I've had that opportunity to have it there 7 days a week, and I've had that for the last month and a half. I've chose to not do that. If this goes the way that I see it going, to where I'm not allowed to do it, well, that's what I'm gonna do. But I've been saving my food truck because this is what I wanna do with it. You know, I mean, the food truck isn't something I have to do to survive. It's something I wanna do to serve the community of Hartland. Like I said last time, I feel like Hartland is so great with the community events. I feel like Hartland is great with everything that they do, but I feel like this one event, and again, I know this may not be how it is, but I feel like we're worried about one person getting everything down at the beer garden. I understand there's more hoops to jump through, but the whole reason I haven't gotten insurance on the trailer is because I don't want to take it to Pewaukee. I don't want to take my business to Oconomowoc. My goal is to bring people to Hartland. Bring people in here, be part of the community, be the Pat Enters, be the Tim Hallquist, who've been part of the community and the boards for 28 years. You know, that's my goal. I mean, if I want to take it to another community, I could take it to Milwaukee and probably make twice as much money. That's not my goal. I don't need the food truck to survive. I think the food truck is just a great addition to the beer garden and also to my business, and to get my name out there selfishly, because that's who I want to be. I want to be here 15 years from now, sitting in your spot making these decisions. You know, that's my goal. So,
Right, I'm just giving you my opinion where it seems where it's constantly like, no, let's hurry up and do this, and I'm just saying when you're saying that you're running a business and you're like, I want to do this food truck thing, I'm just saying a lot of times you're saying it's beer garden, and I know you're saying you just want to help the village. I'm just saying it seems to be, you seem very hard pressed to really get it into that, to really get it into the beer
that's what
garden.
that's what my application was for. So that, I mean, I'm not hard pressed
For
to get it.
clarification, can I ask you, because
Yes,
you
ma'am.
submitted the application to me.
Yep.
And it is a park food vendor application. It says Nixon Park, but it also has industrial park. So I need to know, if we need to address that. You mentioned wanting to go for lunches in the industrial park, that you were going to do that.
This was-
Are you still considering that? If
If-
so, I would need additional information from you to make the application complete.
Yeah, so that application I put in with Ryan. He was there, and that's what he told me to put down in the meantime, because there really wasn't an application for what I was trying to do. And I think that,
Well, it's the mobile food vendors. It's kind of like two things. There's the park food vendor is what you would need to be in the park, and the mobile food vendor application is what you need to be in the industrial park. So if you give me direction, if you're still looking to do the industrial park, we'll have you fill out that application, but I do need a certificate of insurance and then
which I
permission
believe
from.
I've already given. I've
No,
given
I
my
have,
insurance.
it's a policy.
Oh, you just need the
that you
certificate
gave,
of
a
it? Okay.
certificate of insurance. And then we will need permission from whatever private property that you're gonna put it on.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can go ahead and issue that, and you can head into the industrial park for lunches.
And
So-
I will, again, that's where I'm at. I didn't put in a new permit. Since the last one, I thought it was just kind of carrying over till the decision was made, so I apologize for that. But the
yeah,
industrial,
this is the park, there's two applications, one for park, one for the industrial park, which is the mobile food vendor.
and
So-
again, I apologize. This was the
No,
one
it's
that
fine.
Ryan asked me to put in, so that's, I didn't change it since the last time, so I apologize. I'll make those changes. I mean, what I'll say is if we move forward and I'm able to be down at the beer garden on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it is something that I think would be a big benefit to be in the industrial park, like I had said, with 83 being torn up for who knows how long. But just having it in Hartland just for lunches, I don't think maximizes. It does help the community over in the workers there, but there obviously is a selfish part of this as well. I mean, I want to help the community, but I also need to make money as well. And so if I have a spot which is a half block off the beach in Pewaukee that is going to let me park it there 7 days a week, and I don't have to move it, I probably would forego the industrial park, which, you know, is kind of sad. But I mean, for 3 days a week at the industrial park, I don't know if it is going to serve the benefit for the village and me. You know, that's I guess kind of how I would say that.
I apologize for my confusion, Matt, because it is all, you're saying you can go and make double the money in Pewaukee, but you just want to hold it for the beer garden, but you don't want to go and put it in the, I'm trying to be straight with you because.
And I'm being straight with you, Jeff. I think you're spinning the nut.
I'm not,
what I'm saying
I'm
is,
speaking, I'm not spinning anything. You just said you forgot to put the insurance in there after you said your food truck isn't insured. That's what you just said to Sandy.
I turned in my proof of insurance. That's what I said.
This
I
is your
haven't.
business insurance for your brick and mortar.
Correct.
I would need a certificate of insurance for your trailer, your mobile food, and I would also need the Waukesha County mobile vendor food license.
Which, just so you know, I did contact my insurance agent today. I will have that certificate of insurance by tomorrow or the next day, they said at the latest.
And the Waukesha County.
Yeah, and I've just got to submit that. And basically,
Yeah, and your permission, and then we'd be good to issue that administratively. That doesn't need to come to the board.
For time and the board, I guess what I'm trying to express is that the board has now made a ruling 2 times. And right now, the answer is no. This isn't hey, the board is working because they're gonna figure things out for Matt, you know, because he's not going to the industrial park and he's not going over here and he's kind of sitting and waiting on Nixon Park. Right now, there's not gonna be any food trucks at the beer garden for, I don't know until when. We don't know what's gonna come from that. So that's the law, that's the rule right now.
That's fine.
And if that changes though, then you will be able to apply to have your food truck down at the Nixon Park or wherever, depending on where the ordinance goes. But right now, it's not, the board has made a motion, it's been passed. The answer actually is no. And maybe that's where we're not being clear enough. The answer is no.
Well, no, that's why it was, and again, this was sent to Craig, but Ryan had said, even if it's a no, ask for a special temporary event permit while we're figuring things out. That's why I asked. I knew the answer was going to be
I
no
didn't
before
say
I came.
ask, I said it could be a possibility if the
okay.
board wanted.
So listen, I knew what the answer was before I come up here. I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm just here to help me out, help the village out, and I feel like this has kind of gotten blown out, with more than just what I'm trying to do. So I mean, don't disrespect to anybody on the board. That's not who I am as a person. Jeff, I've known you for a long time. That's just not who I am. And so I want what's best for Hartland and best for me. So I knew what the answer was before I stepped up here.
I just wanted to be clear so that it didn't seem like, hey, hold on and wait with your truck while we figure it out. We're gonna figure it out, and if that window opens up,
Yeah, no, I get
then
it.
you'll be able to, apply for whatever process we end up coming up with.
Mhm.
Or if it stays the same, then nothing would happen, but I don't foresee that happening. But I just wanted
No, I
for
got
us
it.
to be clear
It's a no.
also.
I get it.
So. Any other questions from the board for the presenter?
Thank you, Matt. We appreciate it, and we want to support Heartland business. It's a process.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this, and I appreciate you saying that, but I will tell you from obviously I'm a new Heartland business. I've only been around for 9 months. I will tell you that this process, whether it's something else that's got to be reworked out, and maybe this was just a beehive that got opened up, it seems, not only to me, but obviously I've been spreading the word about it as well, because I want to get the overwhelming support of the community for me as well and what they want. It's very hard. It seems like this whole thing is, been completely not against helping out Heartland businesses, but it doesn't make it easy. It doesn't make it easy to have to go to 4 different meetings. And I keep saying no disrespect, but I go to the park board meeting and 3 of the park board members are on the village board. So I feel like it could be consolidated down. So I went to a park board meeting for their recommendation on what they're going to vote on the next week when I'm here. Again, I'm running a business and I'm there 15 hours a day. So I feel like if there's anything I could say, if there's a way to hone it down to where there's not so many meetings about the same thing, it seems very, very difficult for a small business owner who works 15, 16 hours a day to try and make 4 to 5 meetings about the same exact thing that we're all voting on. I mean, because this meeting is literally the same as what we did 4 weeks ago. So and that's just my recommendation, maybe something to look at to where there is a lot of meetings about the same thing. And I just, I took time off of work to be here and I want to be here, but that's just my perception as a small business owner in Hartland, so.
Well, I'm sorry that it seems that way. It hasn't been like that before, but I do appreciate you coming. We do support businesses. It's just in this case, it was the continuous ask, so that's why it was on the agenda.
I just want to put a comment forward, if that's all right. We worked on the food truck ordinance probably about 18 months ago. I actually went through the video of it, and we had, if you recall, everybody was very against food trucks in streets, parks. We said private properties we could. So I think some of the hesitation there is you have different people on the park board that weren't on the village board, and those village board members remember that meeting. So again, they may have changed now. We just need to go through the process of it.
Well, I appreciate everybody's time. Like I said, if I've offended anybody or I made anybody unhappy, it's not my goal, but I appreciate all you guys' time. I know you guys have better things to do than come here every Monday, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Now we have Little Dippers.
Hi, I'm Tanya Little, owner of Little Dippers here in Hartland, and I am on the agenda I was going to request an approval to get my ice cream cart down to Nixon because for me, it's a push cart. That's the only park that makes sense. Physically, I have to move it, you've seen it. Based on the discussion tonight, I see that that's not going to happen, which is fine. I respect the contract that you're referring to. I respect the time that you've given for the discussion. I just, when you go to review your ordinance, please take a look at, section 22-169C. It talks about licensing being applied for annually, which is what I came to do this year, was apply for the new permit for this year, which was, I had been granted one last year. When you look at the last sentence, applications for renewals shall be handled in the same manner as original applications, but may be approved by the village manager or the designee. So my question is, why am I here based on that piece? When you look at section 22-170, part B, the last sentence, subsequent annual renewals of a license may be processed administratively without additional village board approval if the conditions of the original license issuance are maintained at the discretion of the village manager or designee. So I have maintained the original licensing conditions. I feel like I'm falling through a crack here.
I think you are. You are falling through a crack. And I mean that in a nice way. I'm saying I would agree with your assessment.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I don't want anything with my food truck to affect her. She's already had it for 2 years. Give her her license. I mean, I get it. Like, that's not my goal, is to hurt her.
She was interrupted the last time she was speaking, so I'm going to leave her to have the floor.
I just want her to.
Matt, please.
Thank you, Jeff.
This is going to get really crazy, because based on the last meeting and the way that she was interrupted and the fact that I feel most of the board was going to give her this license, and I understand that we're all over the place on this, I think Tanya's right on the ordinance. It was granted last year, and for us to be all over, it is in her favor.
Yeah, I think the way the ordinance is written today.
But is there anything that allows her to be in a park in this ordinance?
Well, she was there last year.
License was issued last year for her to be in the park.
Right. I mean, I know this sounds crazy, but based on the fact that she was in last year, I'm not saying any of this is, okay? This is why we need to work on the ordinance. And I will say this, when it first came up that you came for yours, and it said MVV, like mobile food vendor, at that time, and it's my fault for not pushing harder and saying, she's gotta be categorized different, that's my fault. I should have pushed for it to say, I mean, a mobile food cart, anything under 200 pounds that someone pushes around and serves food out of, you know? The only difference you may run into in this is that you might not be able to plug it in down there or something like that, but at least you'd be in the park.
I can get a
I could be wrong on this, I'm just, she does have a valid point. I do agree with the village manager saying with all this going on, he sent it to us, cause, and out of respect for Ryan, he doesn't wanna just send something to us and then he's getting blasted. The only confusion that I wanna hear what you guys have to say, cause if I'm way off base, then say so. If I'm way off base, you know, it doesn't mean I'm right. It's on me as much as anyone else. I feel like it's gotten kinda, I feel it's gotten kinda messy.
I mean, I really feel since Little Dippers had approval from us last year as a board that, with no issues, that I would make a motion that we do approve a license for Little Dippers in Nixon Park or other parks this summer.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to allow Little Dippers to sell in Nixon Park or other parks. Because they had their license last year. That's the motion that's on the floor. Discussion. One of the things that I did want to add is, in trying to stay in line with what we've been saying, is that while you can be at Nixon Park, but you know what square is the beer garden, I think that you should sell outside of the beer
Yeah, I
garden.
usually take that outer path by the playground to the
Yeah,
ballpark.
I'm just throwing that in. I don't know if I have to amend the motion, but I think that would be, you know, I'm just throwing that in.
And I do want to resubmit an application, because that one you guys got is messy.
Well, we can always just say you can resubmit an application and then you work it out with Ryan.
Yeah.
In trying to honor the contract that we do
Right.
have with them, that's the only reason I was saying it. I think it might,
understood.
it's a way that we can meet.
I agree.
I can amend the motion so that Little Dippers food cart is not in the primary square by the beer garden.
Yeah, it's
but-
Nixon Park excluding the beer garden.
But throughout the walkways around that area.
Second.
Did you get the amendment? Does the board allow that amendment, or would they want an actual motion on an amendment? It's up to the board.
It's fine with me.
So the motion on the floor would be that you're allowed to sell like you were last year, excluding the beer garden.
Perfect.
When the beer garden's open.
I guess I'm kind of torn, I guess, I'd say. I mean, I get it, she was there last year. Doesn't mean that how it was approved was correct. And when we're looking at the policy here, I mean, it does say, you know, she falls under the cart one. Now, like I said, if we had something that talked about weight and stuff like that, I guess it kind of makes us hypocritical or not consistent with what we just talked about. And I feel bad because I think, you know, last year she did, and I agree we should, but if we're reviewing the ordinances, I don't know how we can, with good conscience, when it says right here about that's a food cart, and we need to look that over.
Sure.
But I said, it's a touchy situation. I mean, it's a fine line.
Is that something that maybe we should have our legal people look at? Because I don't want to get into a lawsuit. Not from you, I'm not talking you, but some issues that could come up?
I don't know that we need legal for that. I just.
I don't like being sued.
No, I get what you're saying. I mean, these are all valid points. I'm erring on the side of if it's an error. I do hear, I'm not saying Rick's wrong, and I don't think in a court of law that they would sue and say, hey, you allowed that part that was there last year. You're talking very different things. I don't think we can get a food truck into Nixon Park without DPW doing something, even including investigating it, where in this case we can, it's a push cart. That's just, I'm just saying where I'm coming from, but Rick, that doesn't mean you're not wrong. We are being somewhat contradictory. I feel, I'll even go so far as to say I feel very bad for Tanya. She literally she had the floor last time, and she came and someone came forward, spoke in front of her while it was her floor to present, and then the same thing just happened to her again, except for the person didn't get in front of her. And I think for someone that's going and selling ice cream, that's in a cart, I mean, it hasn't been a part of this issue the entire time. And she's also been very patient and isn't saying, you know.
Two things. One, I can't remember the Beer Snobs menu. Were they selling ice cream?
Yes.
No.
She told me she was.
So I was at the Bark River Bash, and they did not have ice cream on their menu.
Well,
Not
that
had
doesn't
it yet, but-
necessarily mean they're not going to have it, but, and then secondly, I just think in my opinion, we need to be consistent. If we don't allow S3, then we can't allow Little Dippers. That's just because of the problems that we're having with the food truck ordinance. That's all I'm saying. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, I love what she does. I'm just saying that if we don't allow them, but now we're gonna allow them, I don't know if that's inconsistent, in my opinion.
My concern with it is that to that point, the ordinance is what we've been concerned about this whole time, and the ordinance as is written, she shouldn't even be in front of us right now. It should have already been approved.
But, okay, if that's the case, then why did we tell S3 to leave? Because if the ordinance is screwed up, then why wouldn't we give them a chance if that's the case?
The ordinance as it's written, they're not allowed to be there. Where she had a contract with her, she had a approved application last year to be there. So according to what is in front of us right now, our ordinance as it states, she should be essentially grandfathered in. She gets a signature and goes again. Not saying it's right or wrong or indifferent, but it is what it's written, and that's what I know we need to rewrite it, and I'm sure we're gonna address it as part of that process, but the way it's written.
But it does say that applications for renewal shall be handled in the same manner as original applications. But it may be approved by the village manager. So that, to me, is like another application coming in.
Right, which she did, but it's still, if everything.
Without going in front of the village board.
Yeah, all things being the same.
Well, no, it says the same as before.
Correct, the same
Yes.
as her application from last year.
Right.
Subsequent annual renewals of a license may be processed administratively without additional village board approval.
Maybe, right.
And Ryan brought it forward because this is goofy right now, but
Well, I'm looking at 22-169C, where it says, applications for renewal shall be handled in the same manner as original applications. And then it says, but may be approved by the village manager. So, I'm just, I don't know,
So then when you refer to section 22170, application process, so now that takes that a little bit further and says where it's the subsequent annual renewals may be processed administratively.
Again, so the reason behind all of that, everything says may be
Right.
approved.
Right. It's not a given.
The reason it's brought before you is because technically our ordinance doesn't allow it, so to be consistent, you guys can vote how you want. I don't want to disagree. In my opinion, her food cart differs from a food truck that takes up spaces in a parking lot, but we don't call that out. We'll fix that in the ordinance as well.
You have a motion and
You have a motion on the floor. And I think we'll all interpret that a little bit differently. I agree with Ann, it's a new application coming in. I do agree that it says they should be handled in the way that they were last year, meaning a person has to reapply. It's in there so a person doesn't just assume approval. But no, I understand. There's no right answer. I believe if we say no, we're really showing that I mean, there's people already that are talking about it saying, we're against small business. We're trying to do what's right with another business with people saying, you know, we're against small business. And because she sold last year, I understand where they're saying it's contradictory, but with S3 Deli, and I don't want to make them too much part, with any food truck that comes forward that says, I haven't even insured it yet because I don't know what your approval is going to be, that's very different than someone that's been here pushing ice cream around. I'm only giving the reasons on why I'm voting. It doesn't mean that I'm right. I believe that this one is a coin flip, and I don't think that anybody that goes in the opposite vote of me is wrong. I really don't. I think everyone's right on this.
We are where we are. This is lessons learned, right?
So we'll call, well, does anybody else have any other discussion? We'll call the question, so the question on the table was to allow Little Dippers to serve in the parks, not including Nixon Park, based on the fact that they had approval last year. Is that correct?
Including Nixon Park.
Including Nixon Park, but excluding the beer garden area.
Excluding the beer garden area.
During the beer
being able to be on the walkways
The line-
in Nixon Park.
The line, the
Correct.
picnic tables, between the two
Yes.
yeah.
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Hey,
Did anybody else
You vote yes or
oppose
no,
except,
Tim.
Rick, did you opposed?
I opposed.
Okay. All right. So we have 2 nays. Do you have it clear, or do you want a roll call, or do you have it already?
No, I have a nay by trustee Connor and Walschlager.
Okay,
Is that
and the rest
accurate?
all approvals?
Yeah.
0 abstentions? Is that accurate? Okay. So that motion passes. Work with village staff.
Yes. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you.
That could change in the future, just so you're aware, because I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for hanging in there.
It's a little bit about me. My background is pharmacy. Rules are rules. So I get it, right?
We'll get it right. We'll get it right.
He's gotta
Appreciate your
leave.
time, thank you.
He's gotta leave.
That's cool. Sounds good. Okay, now we have some other items of consideration. We have conceptual review and consideration of 7 single-family development at Badger Court and Eagle Pass Court. Sir?
Yes. That would be off topic, but I will pass it along. I promise. Yep.
Sorry, I had something with, an idea I had to talk to Sandy about, which she'll share with you folks later. Ken
Thought maybe you
Survey,
were
this
gonna-
was, I'm the developer, this FYI, this was approved last year with a little different design. Unfortunately, we could not build it because we had too much road and we could not handle the water. So we had to redesign it, which I think everybody, did you pass it out to all of them? Okay, which you have noticed, so we couldn't get it done. So we had to redesign it. In the meantime, our engineering firm left, so I had to hire a new engineer, Calvin here. And so we came out with a new design, and this is what we're asking to be approved now. It's basically very similar. I think we have less road. I think they won't have people racing through. We have 2 cul-de-sacs. From a plowing standpoint, I think it's simpler than the 2 dead ends we have now, because they can just go around the circle and pull out. Or right now, they have 2 dead ends, and they have to go up, plow, and back up. Am I correct in that? I live in Hartland, and I happen to live on a cul-de-sac, and I watched you guys today, and today they had the sweepers go through, and the guys are pretty good, so.
Thank you.
And I guess, we're just looking for a preliminary approval this evening.
How close are these lots to resembling what's at,
I'm sorry, sir.
the size of the lots, are they close to the same as what?
I think they're a little bigger.
22,000 square feet.
Do you have that?
They're 22,000 square feet, lot width is 110 feet, it's base setback line.
That's what they have in,
Next
is it
door.
Chestnut Hill? Sorry. What's the name of the subdivision?
Lake County?
Lake Country Meadows,
Lake Country
thank you,
Meadows.
sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh,
Me too, we have to look.
sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, Gary.
I believe it's the same zoning. I'm not absolutely certain, but
No, this has been a long property, don't worry. I was asking if it was the same as the subdivision next to it.
It's same property, same everything, just a little different design. And it took a while because last year, basically they said, why don't you buy everything else around? Well, I've tried very, very hard. Got turned down, got thrown at, I had called the police, somebody said I'm cutting trees, everything under the sun. So basically, since I spent a lot of time and money and effort to get everything developed and I couldn't, so I have to live with what we have right now.
and it's a great layout.
Without knowing mine's kind of tough, and this comes from being in plan commission, just because I won't go over it because it's so late, but I mean, this property has a long history, a really long history, so it's a very, very tough one. So both of these streets, you have to literally drive through a subdivision just to drive into this plot of land. There was a time when someone owned this land that was never gonna sell it no matter what, so they didn't develop it with the rest of the subdivision. Then all of a sudden it changed hands as it moved through people. They were never gonna sell it, then they sold it. But anyways, the people that live there, some of them residents that are here now, it was always that it was going to be like the rest of the subdivision because the road's just literally just dead end. And they have to drive through the subdivision to get to these properties. So just giving a little background. So, but I don't know the size. I'll let him present first, and then we'll, if a resident wants to speak to the board, because otherwise it would be getting sent to plan commission, so they don't.
Are these cul-de-sacs big enough for the plow to come in and do a full sweep turn?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, and we're gonna be confirming that. They're asking for radiuses of a cul-de-sac. It's out with R&M right now to make sure that they're up to village standard and everything like that, so.
Where's the stormwater going?
Stormwater.
To outlet 1. So what they did is they basically, I mean, from my understanding of the property, they took one of the lots away and they put everything into that lot as far as the stormwater retention basin.
Which is the same place it was in the previous approved plans.
Thanks,
Real quick, I just gotta say the word approved plans. These are all just conceptually okayed. There's been nothing approved.
Right, and what we're doing right now is, all we would be doing is approving the concept. But if it's not something that we're gonna like the concept when it comes back to us, obviously you don't wanna send it to the plan commission where they're gonna dig into the nuts and bolts of this thing. Or if you wanna suggest something else. Do you want any comment from a resident that lives nearby and property touches it? Mr. Strombeck, would you like to,
Yeah, if I may.
yeah.
My name is Gary Strombeck. I'm on the Lake Country Meadows Homeowners Association, and I also live on a lot adjoining the proposed property. Lake Country Meadows has got 39 homes as it is now. We've got one entrance. It doubles as an entrance and exit. It is landscaped. We have to have it insured. We've got a monument wall there with lighting. I mean, there's a cost associated with all this. So if the new neighbor is going to be coming in, first question I have, is this going to be an association or the individual scatter lot?
We would prefer if we could join your association. We pay the same fees, et cetera.
I'm not shooting that down. I don't know how it's possible, but I don't see a problem with it.
I think would be fair. We should have the same cost for some of the plowing thing, the monument. Our people should share the same cost per year, quarter, however you assess. We would, when we sold it, it would be part of the deed restrictions, et cetera, or whatever.
Well, good. That also includes starting last year, Waukesha County, I guess, is now requiring individual municipalities to inspect and maintain their water basins or water features more than they used to.
Yeah, that's the DNR. That's not just Waukesha County. The DNR is stepping up in their MS4 enforcement. That's kind of what I brought to you guys before. Right now, the village is on zone 4, 4-year basis. That every 4 years there needs to be an inspection done that's actually documented for our purposes for that permit with the DNR.
To add to that, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, it used to kind of be looked over, but then the DNR in a way, they kind of strong arm us, and it's, you're gonna go and inspect, and if there's fines, you're gonna assess those fines, otherwise the village is gonna get them. So if we don't go and assess them and there's fines, basically you got all the taxpayers paying for someone's water basin.
Correct.
Is that to an extent?
Yeah,
Is
to
that
an
correct?
extent, yeah. It's basically, DNR has pushed the enforcement action on to the municipality.
Right.
For us to kind of govern and watch over and make sure we have those inspections on file. If we were to come in and get an audit for that MS4, we need to have those on record and file, or we are going to be enforced upon by the DNR. So it's kind of just passing.
Okay. And that's understandable. We've agreed to it. I've talked with Tom last fall. We had an inspection done. We had some maintenance work to be done, or have done with it, Tom. We have to hire out the rest just because of the nature of the work. That'll be done in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then pictures will be sent to you as promised. But again, there's all the costs associated with this. And if there's gonna be fees assessed for association type fees, we're open to it. I mean, because it all gets contributed into the same water table. There was some confusion when asked if these homes and lot styles are the same as what's in existing Lake Country Meadows.
The zoning would be the same.
The zoning is the same, but they're not the same home styles, and that's what was the question that was asked and not correctly answered. You'd be hard pressed to find a property in Lake Country Meadows less than 2/3 of an acre, some are more than 1 acre, side entry, garages, et cetera, et cetera. That's not what's on this proposal. So you asked a good question, Mr. President, so I just wanted to clarify that and get that on record as well.
Would you, just so that the board knows, if it was on the table, would it be worthwhile for them to talk to the homeowners association if they're gonna share fees, if there is a way for them to join, or would you?
Absolutely, we're open to that.
Especially with you having these costs coming online where you can have,
Yeah.
that way people can
I don't know
pay
how
as a
legal
part of
that
their
is, and I
purchase.
don't know how we can adopt it, but if there is a way, we'd be open to it.
But that,
certainly.
if they know, where all of a sudden, if they have to add, I'm just saying, if you guys were open to it, where now someone has skin in the game, cause it always was that it was gonna be part of the subdivision, like we've talked about, I think it gets us closer to that.
Well, it just should be noted up front.
Yeah.
Not only that, how do we collect? If they're not their own association, how do we collect? How do we make restitution?
Right.
If the new homeowner doesn't want to pay. And when does the payment start? As soon as the roads are in, I'm
This is
guessing.
where I have agreed with the residents. You have the monument sign there, you have things there. I have always agreed with the residents because basically you're kind of piggybacking where you're gonna drive in. It'd be like if someone just kind of connected 5 houses onto Four Winds West. You get to drive in, but no one realizes you're not driving into Four Winds West. You're driving through Four Winds West, and then you're going to some other houses where they aren't under the same restrictions as the people that are actually in the subdivision. You know, and I think that's where these residents are somewhat afraid. Obviously, they do pay their homeowner association dues. And even though this property is behind that, they were always promised, even when some of them purchased, that this neighborhood would be part of that. They would be part of the same association. The only reason everything stopped was because at that time, no one would sell the property. So I think it may be good if you guys talk to try to get some of that out, because there would be costs associated, especially if they're just doing their drainage, where maybe it is, I don't know what it would be, but as each lot sells, you know, then people are giving those articles of the homeowners association that they're joining, and those costs are in there, and then they know each year they're paying those fees.
Need and want your association bylaws, et cetera, so we can pass them on to our potential buyers.
And I don't wanna hold you up, but if it's, other board members can say something, if that really is something that can happen, I think it's important for the village board to know it if it's gonna come back to us. And some members, or enough members, are gonna say, no, if you're not part of that association, because we do wanna, you know, take care of the people that are already living there also. I think it might be good if you could.
This will be my 18th subdivision that I've developed over the last 10 or 20 years. So, and I've faced a situation before, we've addressed it the same way. I don't see anything different doing it this way now. I see no problem.
Yeah, I don't know how legal it is, and again, And we're open. We have, if there's 7 homes and if there's 7 individual homes that are not legally bound to contribute, how do we get restitution going forward?
Right.
So that should be ironed out ahead of time. And if we have to go through collections, there's a cost associated with that. If it's an association, it's so much easier to deal with a single association than 7 new homes.
And the village board isn't like the plan commission. Once it gets a plan commission, it's only once a month, I guess. I just wanted to say, and if anybody wants to say something different on the board, they can. I think it might be worth us waiting the 2 weeks and have you meet with that association so that this board can make that decision before they send it to plan commission.
Very good.
Okay, well, I was on Bristol Cone.
Can you go by the, just because otherwise it doesn't catch you when people are listening to the recording. I can hear you.
I live in Bristol Cone Pines, and I was on both boards there. I was past president of the condo association, so I'm very, very familiar with everything he's saying. Now, I have one slight problem. We've always, my wife and I have always had foreign exchange students, and we've had them for school years, et cetera. We've gone over to weddings. I am leaving next Monday for a wedding in Spain for one of our foreign exchange students. So I will not be here for 2 weeks, just, you know, timing, I can't make next week's meeting. I'm leaving Monday morning, and I'll be gone for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Just up front right now, that I won't be here, so.
Sure. Well, we wouldn't have the meeting without you. I don't know how you want to, if the board wants to send it, they can. I think it'd be good to know if the homeowners association, if there's some talk of agreement, as opposed to sending it to plan, because once it goes to the plan commission, that's the road to getting it done. If it's gonna come back to the village board and all of a sudden you guys.
Well, I believe you can have the plan commission with the engineer without me here.
We can, what I'm saying is I want to get this HOA thing taken care of, because otherwise everybody here is going to vote based on the fact that you're
Okay, well, I
joining
know,
the
but
HOA.
this was originally approved once without an HOA. You know, why does it have to be now when I'm already agreeing to it? I'm agreeing to join their HOA, and I'm going to join every, so I don't see why we have to. What am I missing?
If the concept would go to plan commission to get, the concept would get, looked at again, same as this meeting, and all that would happen is be like, okay, we approve the concept, and then it would keep on going.
Okay.
But it would come back up to the village board, it would come to the village board.
So we're a month away then, basically.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah,
but
it's I mean, unless are you an urgent?
No, well, I've been only on this for 2 years, so I guess.
Well, no, here's my thing, if the board's gonna vote, and it's gonna have to do with the HOA, and you're saying you're gonna join the HOA.
Yes.
I don't wanna see the village, I don't wanna put the village board in a situation where they're gonna vote right now that you're gonna join the HOA, but you've never sat down and talked with that HOA
Well,
to see if it's feasible.
I think he's the HOA president, and all we gotta do is get his.
I'm a simple member of the HOA.
Just a member? Okay.
Jeff,
But
can't we
Jeff-
just approve the concept if we like the concept? It has nothing to do with the HOA.
Yeah, we could.
I mean, that's basically all we're doing tonight.
Yeah,
Yes.
we could approve
And
the
then-
concept.
And then let them figure out if they want
Yep.
to continue on.
Yeah, we could do that. We could approve the concept, because all that's gonna be at plan commission is gonna be concept. But I would have that meeting sooner rather than later.
And this is not the first kick at the cat that the village board is gonna be looking at this. You're gonna see a preliminary plat, which you have to approve ultimately, and so by then, something can be worked out with the HOA as part of that.
Oh, yeah, no, I know that it's gonna go through multiple meetings. I thought it was a good idea. If you come and all of a sudden we know that you guys are
I
gonna
have no
meet.
problem, just that I'm not gonna be here for a couple of weeks.
Sure.
so.
Yeah, we can send it conceptually. And then, I mean, we've had the talk, so people know, you know, some of the background. What, we'll send it to the, well, if someone wants to make a motion to send it to plan commission, we can send it to, this is just conceptual. This doesn't mean we're approving it, it just means that the concept is okay. Obviously, it sounds like, well, it sounds like they'll figure out the HOA stuff.
I'll make a motion that we move the conceptual review and consideration of 7 single-family development at Badger Court and Eagle Pass Court to Plan Commission.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to move the conceptual review at the, Plan Commission, at Badger Court and Eagle Pass Court. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. Yeah, I encourage you to please talk with them so that you can, you know, get word back to us. You guys, I'm sorry to do this.
Ken, am I understanding that you do want this, he's not hearing me. Ken,
Sorry.
am I understanding that you want this to go next week to Plan
Yes,
Commission
I'll be
without
here
you?
for that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I'm deaf.
No, that's all right.
I'm very, very hearing impaired. In fact, when I come back, I'm getting a cochlear implant.
I don't. You take as much time as you need. You're the chief, so.
You have a minute and a half.
On the agenda, if everybody's ready to go, is discussion and consideration of a request to surplus doorknob portable push-button key safe boxes.
Well, I can speak to this for.
Oh, I
for
thought
the
you-
chief.
That's
not
even mine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Get to rest one more.
Wrong chief. Chief Misko is presenting this. He is cleaning out some areas of the police department and came across some of those realtor door lock things where there's a combination and a key in there for an old program that hasn't been used in decades. Families could sign up to have that available for a wellness check on elderly, or, they haven't used them for a long time, and he would like to surplus them. Tom Jensen has taken one to use for a purpose. So there's, I think, 90
Let your wife
instead of
out, will
20. But we're just looking for approval to surplus those. I don't know that there's much value in them.
Quick question, why does that have to come to us?
If
I mean, what,
I'll tell you why.
why? I just what I want to know.
Because in the old days, no one kept, I'm not saying this really, but I mean, there's places that this has happened. No one kept track of old stuff. Like you get a new lawnmower, but no one ever kept track of where'd the old lawnmower go.
Yeah.
Or you buy 6 sets of snow tires, but now you changed all your squads and you got 4 sets of tires left. Who gets to take those and go sell them on the internet or sell them to someone? We do it because it forces us to say, yes, you can sell it, because
Okay.
there's always an inventory at the village and you can't just, something doesn't just
You can't
walk
just
off.
sell it and put it there.
Right, like let's say
Okay.
he could take these and do it for sell them for $5. This way it ensures they sell them, that money goes into our money.
Okay.
And it goes back to the village taxpayer, because all this stuff actually belongs to the village
All
taxpayer.
right, sorry for the quarter, it didn't make,
I'll make a motion to, for the request to surplus doorknob portable push button key safe boxes.
Second.
Been moved in, seconded to do the push button key safe boxes and sell them surplus, I'm guessing through some Badger site or something site that we have for auction. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. The next item on the agenda, I've got the chief correct here. This is the fire chief. This is discussion and consideration to approve purchases of turnout gear by the fire department as approved in the 2025 budget. I would encourage everybody to remember in the budget that you've already approved this. It's just that it comes again to give that final approval because they're going to cut a check. But this was discussed in length at the budget process. So if anybody really does have any questions, we've already okayed this.
Just a quick review. This was in the budget for new gear for our firefighters. The budgeted amount was $25,000 for 5 sets of gear, including boots, hoods, gloves, turnout gear, and helmets. For the past 5 years, we've been using McQueen out of Delafield and Lion Gear. Lion is the only company that offers a service turnaround if this gear gets damaged and needs to be fixed of 1 week or less, as they have a facility in Chicago. All other companies have a 1-month turnaround time, so we'd like to stay with them. The quote we've been given is under the budget by about $535. I gave two other options. So Gall's price per coat was $33.05. Pants were $18.64. NAFCO price per coat was $28.54 and the pants were $2,048. McQueen price per coat was $23.40 and the pants were $13.75. We recommend purchasing the gear from McQueen line to outfit the 5 firefighters.
I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of turnout gear by the fire department as approved in the 2025 budget.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the purchase of the turnout gear for the fire department as approved in the 2025 budget. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion is carried. You got a roll?
We got announcements.
Okay.
As long as you don't talk so much.
A wonderful DPW director, Tom Jensen.
All right, so I missed the board meeting in between. So the Hartland sculpture's up in Nixon Park. If you guys haven't seen, we talked about it at Park Board. We have poured the patio for the wall that heals benches at Nixon Park 2. We just dirted and seeded that today. Our utility project is still going on. They are currently in Four Winds subdivision. Paving on East Park right here went on without a hitch. It was actually everything was to schedule. Everything went well with that. That paving is done. They are on West Capitol right now. West Capitol, West Park, and the railroad island on the south side of the train tracks on Cottonwood is going to be worked on. That's supposed to be done June 9th. So I'm working through that with the contractors right now. We have reached our capacity for summer help, so we're good with summer help. We are going to be seeking a new full-time. We just had one of our individuals put in 2 weeks. So we are looking for a full-time employee for the DPW. If anyone knows anyone interested, has a Class B CDL, and wants to come work with us, do let me know. And then another note, Commander Kurt Brandstetter was not a village resident, but he lived directly across the street from Arrowhead High School growing up, and he just recently retired from the Coast Guard, and in his honor, they fly a flag around different areas that he wanted to, and one of those areas was the village of Hartland. So this last week, we flew his flag here at the Village Hall. I just took that down today and hung up our other flag, and we're shipping that flag off to the Brewer Stadium to be flown next. So just wanted to put that out there that one of our local residents paid tribute to the village, and we give him kudos on his retirement from the Coast Guard.
Awesome.
That's all I have.
Sam?
Okay, on the rec side, we have our T-ball coaches meeting tomorrow. Kids are gonna start practicing next week. The Thursday night concert series kicks off next Thursday, so hopefully we'll see you all there. And then the first of our 2 fishing clinics is this Saturday in Delafield.
Awesome.
Fire department, busy day today. They had 7 calls, 5 of them which came within about an hour and 20 minutes apart. We were able to answer all but one of them we had to give away. As far as the fishing clinic goes, I'm going on my own fishing clinic. I'm leaving Sunday for Ohio. I'll be gone for the week, catching some walleye hopefully. So DC Sharp will be around, and then DC Walker on the weekend, Memorial Day weekend, so.
No further updates at this time, just working on staffing and reviews with some of the new staff we hired earlier this year, just to do a follow-up with them and give them kind of a update on their progress and things to kind of work on here for the future.
I have nothing.
I don't want to miss anything. I know Bark River Bash that was 2 weeks ago, wasn't
Yes,
it?
yes.
Successful.
Yeah, it was packed.
It was fun.
Weather's good. Obviously, it was the first time the beer garden was open under new ownership. I don't have a lot of announcements, so we can just wrap it. I'm trying to think of anything. I don't have anything.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. When I do